Hello friends, welcome back. This is Sachin from Team Decipher, and we are taking up the second volume of Economic Survey of India for year 2016, and this is chapter 1, State of Economy and Overview. In today's chapter, we are going to see the sectoral development of the Indian economy, and first in that segment we are going to take up agriculture. The contribution of agriculture and the allied sector, as you are seeing here, there for the year 2000 at 2011-12 prices of the country has been declining. The growth rate in agriculture were 1.5% in 2012-13, and it went to 4.2% in 13-14, and again it rose to it declined to 1.1% in 2015-16. So here we saw a zigzag pattern. In 2012-13 it was just 1.15%, then again it rose to 4.2% in 13-14, but again got a downward slope, rolled on to that downward slope into year 2015-16. The uncertainties growth in agriculture are explained by the fact that 60% of the Indian agriculture is rainfall dependent, and there have been two consecutive years of less than normal rainfall, that is in year 2014 and year 2015-16. So these both years the India were rainfall deficient and the farmers were in distress. So we had a little growth, or just over 1.1% in the year 2015-16. So as per the second advance estimate for year 2015-16, estimated that this advance estimate, it was released on 15th February 2016 itself. It estimated that food grains production during the year 2015-16 is estimated as 253.16 million tons. This estimation is higher by 1.14%. Million tons, actually sorry, it's not percent, it is 1.14 million tons higher than the previous year's production of 252.02 million tons in year 2014-15. So I'm again repeating, as per the second advance estimates for this year 2015-16, these estimations are around that this year's production will be 253.16 million tons. This 253 million, but for the previous year 2014-15 the amount was only 252.02 million tons. So it is actually 1.14 million tons extra for this year. What are the issues which are ailing agricultural sector of India at present? There are multifarious issues and challenges faced by Indian agriculture sector, and in order to revive it, a significantly different approach is needed. We are discussing few measures now. These measures can be taken, take up to step up the productivity in agriculture system and to transform this sector. First of all, we need to scale up investments to expand water efficient irrigation, and it will achieve your more crop per drop. That means what economic survey is actually implying, that with lesser amount of irrigation water needed, we should be able to achieve, or we should be able to grow more crops. It will improve productivity in agriculture. The low and skewed distribution of irrigated area that needs to be corrected through appropriate policy measures. Secondly, effective use of other inputs like fertilizers, quality seeds and pesticides. This is also required. Along with irrigation, the point we discussed earlier, to reach the optimal agriculture potential of India. In fact, the success story of dairy, which is an allied sector, has been the result of integrated cooperative system of milk collection. It is the strategy which include collection of milk, transportation of milk, processing and distribution of milk. So diversification of the produce through value added products in the dairy industries, this has minimized the seasonal impact on the suppliers. चाहे सीज़न अच्छा रहे या ख़राब रहे, जब आप अपने प्रोडक्ट में वैल्यू एडिशन करते हैं तो obviously the producer or the supplier is less affected as per our crude farmer, in comparison to our crude farmer who is solely dependent upon the crop he is growing. So this is a strategy which needs to be evaluated by other elite sectors in agriculture. Well, there is tremendous potential to increase the availability of agriculture produce by reducing wastage in the post-harvest value chain. Reducing post-harvest losses through investment in storage facilities and investment in drying facilities, this will also help ensure food security for the population. For example, fruits and vegetables are highly perishable commodities, and about almost 30% of the produced is rendered unfit for the consumption due to just because of spoilage after harvesting. So moving on, we'll be looking after the growth and development in the industrial and corporate infrastructure performance. So industrial sector has continued to perform well in the wake of various reform measures undertaken by the government recently. As per the data of national income, the growth of industrial sector comprising mining and quarrying and electricity, gas, water, etc., it was 5.9% in 2014-15, which was only 5% in year 2013 and 14. So we are watching a rise in this particular manufacturing sector, which comprises of mining, quarrying, manufacturing, gas, electricity, water. This growth is expected to strengthen further for almost 7.3% for year 2015-16. As per the advanced estimate released by CSO recently, within the industrial sector, manufacturing is expected to register a growth of 9.5%. You must be wondering what was this 5.9%, then 7.3%, and then 9.5%. Yes, we are talking about the secondary sector as such, the industrial sector as such, but this 5.9 was a basket which includes few of the manufacturing activities like gas, coal, electricity, mining, and this 7.3 estimation was for 2015-16, and manufacturing alone out of the industrial sector is expected to register a growth of 9.5% for this year. So with a view to creating investment and business friendly environment, the government has initiated various reforms measures for simplification and rationalization of producers and to process and to attract more foreign direct investment in the country. The impact of these started becoming visible. As you can see here, there was 40% increase in FDI inflows during only October 2014 to June 2015 over the corresponding period of the previous year. Almost 40% of increase. So So that is a substantial amount. And the development of the infrastructure sector, that has also seen a quite a growth in the previous year, because infrastructure sector is a priority area for the government. Many reforms has been initiated in this infrastructure that resulted in robust growth in most of the sectors. Major infrastructure sectors, for example, power, road, railways, civil aviation, ports, they all have performed better during 2014-15 as compared to year 2013-14. During 2014-15, electricity generation was 1048.4 billion units, and the same the production for same it was targeted only 1023 billion units, but we produced actually higher than the targeted units. So year on year growth के हिसाब से अगर देखा जाए तो this sector is growing by almost 8.4% per annum. Now, coming to the hot sector of our growth story, that is service sector. The service sector has emerged as the most dynamic sector globally and remains the key driver of the India's economic growth. The global growth of services in post-crisis period, that is, economists assume that crisis was ended in 2010, the global financial crisis. So, economic service says that from 2010 to 2014, the global rate, not Indian rate, the global rate of the growth of in service sector was 2.5%. It was lower than the growth in pre-crisis period. The pre-crisis period was 2001 to 2008. So economic survey says for this period the rate was 3%. So earlier pre-crisis the rate was 3%, and after crisis the rate is just 2.5%. That means 0.5% is still lacking. Vis-a-vis, India's service sector in pre-crisis period was 9.3%, and it declined to post-crisis period में it is only 8.6%. But still we are far better than the world average. Service sector growth in India is accelerated to, as shown over there, to 10.3% in 2014-15 point from 7.8% in the previous year. Okay, so ऐसा क्यों हुआ? Why so? It is just because of the higher growth in services का जो सब सेक्टर होता है ना, सर्विस सेक्टर के सब सेक्टर्स are like trade, repairs, hotels and restaurants. It's सब में in these all areas we register a growth of almost 10.7%. So since the subsectors of service sector were performing quite well, so the resultant growth was seen in overall service sector. In 2015 and 2014-15, in fact, the financial year, while the total FDI equity inflows grew by 27.3%, that is 30.9 billion US dollars, 30.9 billion US dollars. FDI equity inflows to the service sector grew by a whopping 70.4% to 16.4 billion US dollars. So what that sentence actually meant? Economic survey is trying to suggest you that कि 2014-15 में हमारे यहाँ जो FDI inflow आया, it was only 20, it registered a growth of 27.3%, okay, which is equals to this much amount. But in service sector alone, the rate of FDI was 70%. यहाँ पे हमने 70% का ग्रोथ रजिस्टर किया है. So that means कि service sector is attracting, or its rate is of attracting FDI is, you know, at far much better than the other sectors. India's service export has also increased. That is from US dollars 16.8 billion in 2001 to US dollar 155.6 billion in 2014. So this is quite a remarkable growth. It made the country as the 8th largest service exporter in world. So at present we are the 8th largest service exporter in the world. The share of India's service exports in global service export, that is around 3.2% in 2014, and it is nearly double that of its mercantile exports in global mercantile export, that stood at 1.7%. What actually economic survey is trying to suggest you that हमारा सर्विस में अगर हम कंट्रीब्यूशन देखें तो हमारा ग्लोबल शेयर है लगभग 3.2% का, लेकिन मर्केंटाइज जो कि हम विजिबल गुड्स में हम ट्रेड करते हैं उसमें हमारा परसेंटेज है ओनली 1.7%. So that is almost double of our mercantile. So we are performing quite nice in service sector. So guys, that is it for the current lecture. In next lecture we'll try to finish the part of this chapter which contains the social infrastructure, employment and human development, and topics like how much we expand on social infrastructure like poverty alleviation or progress in education, and what is our employment scenario. Till then, just keep watching and stay in touch. Thank you, good night, and take good care of yourself. Bye bye.